In example 5, it says determine the value of k if y equals x squared minus 4x plus k has two zeros. Now, really we can't solve for the zeros, but it's asking us if it has two zeros, which means it's talking about the number of solutions. The number of solutions refers to the discriminant, which is, I don't need the square root, the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Now, if I want to have two zeros, I need to make that greater than 0. Okay? That greater than 0 means that we're going to get two solutions because that's the inside of the square root of the quadratic formula. If it's positive, we're going to have plus minus, which is going to give us two zeros. So then I just need to plug this into my discriminant. So b squared minus 4 times a times c, which is our k value. That's what we're looking for. Is greater than 0. Well, I can solve this inequality. I get 16 minus 4k is greater than 0. I'm going to add 4k to both sides and then divide. So I'm going to end up with, I'll just do it right underneath. I'm going to end up with 4 is greater than k. Okay, or k is less than 4. That will give us two zeros. So if we think about this problem, if we think about this parabola that looks like this, when k is equal to 0, okay, that's when the y-intercept is 0. If I want to have two solutions, I'm going to just circle this here. If I want to have, I can't seem to isolate that. If I just shift that up and down, so I just maybe do this in a different color here. If I shift this up and make k positive, it's going to give us, make k bigger than 4, it's going to give us 0, no zeros, it won't cross the x-axis. But if I make k smaller, it's going to shift the y-intercept down, and that's going to give us to guarantee that we have two zeros. So these problems, again, relate to the nature of roots. We want to figure out how many solutions. We don't want to solve it. We don't need to solve this. It's just asking us how many roots. So I'm just going to calculate b squared minus 4 times a times c. Okay, when I work this out, 16 squared, if I'm not mistaken, is 256. We'll just check that. 16 squared, 256. Okay, we end up with 256 minus 4 times 64 is 256. That's equal to 0. Okay, therefore, one solution. This parabola bounces off the x-axis. And again, we can always check this by graphing. For b, we're going to get 3 squared minus 4 times a times c. Now, I don't really even need to work this out because I can see based on the signs that double negative, we're going to add, and this is going to be positive. So we know that this is positive, and therefore it has two solutions. And then for c, we'll do the same thing. 3 squared minus 4 times a times c. Now this one we don't know if it's going to be positive or negative because it's got 3 negatives, which means we're going to subtract. So I'm just going to work this out. 9 minus 4 times 19, that works out to be 76. So this is definitely going to be negative. It's going to be negative 67, although whether it's negative 67 or negative 1 doesn't matter. That negative indicates that we have zero solutions.